Gather round. Welcome back, and thank you for joining another episode of the Professional Nomad Podcast. As always, I am your humble host, Stefano. Thank you if you're able to join me this afternoon on this weekend for this live broadcast on YouTube. Also, I want to say thank you if you're watching this on the replay. Please remember to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to push to hit the 300 subscriber mark, and we've been making great strides thanks to you. We've kind of blown up, and we're trying to continue the march. We're trying to continue the journey. So remember, tell everybody about the channel. Let everybody know we're over here. We're dropping weekly. We're here at least once a week, right? So thank you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well, therefore you'll know when we go live. All right. Today, we have a good one. We're going to talk about what happened the other day with the Donald Trump verdict. For the first time in our history, a former president has been convicted and now is a convicted felon. Wow. This is a monumental moment in our history. And I don't know whether to say this is a good thing or a bad thing, but my opinion doesn't matter. The opinion that matters is yours. So I want you to leave your thoughts and your opinions in the comment section. If you're watching this on the replay, drop your comments, leave your comments. Let me know what you think about what happened with Donald Trump. Do you think he got a fair trial or not? All right. Do you think it was rigged? Do you think that the Democrats are using lawfare against Donald Trump? He seems to think so. A lot of other people seem to think so. But I want to know what your opinion is on this. Do you think he's using lawfare, Biden that is, to win this election? If so, then what Trump said is true. If it can happen to him, it can happen to you or me or anybody. And being a person of color in this country, we know that pretty much we've had the system against us for the longest. So we kind of can understand where Trump is coming from. But we need to know what's really going on behind the scenes, and we'll probably never know that. But I'm not going to talk too long about it. We're going to review a video today that's going to basically talk about what could be happening or what could be happening with the jurors now that they've played their part and they've done their job, and now they're going back to their normal lives. We're going to talk about what they're saying about Michael Cohen, even though they found out that he stole some money from Trump. Okay. So what's going to happen with him? We want to know, and I want your opinions on all of it. I want to know what you think about all of this, right? So with that being said, let me see who we got in here as always. The beautiful La Kina. Gracias, La Kina. Hello, nomads. Welcome to another episode. Yes, exactly. Gracias, mi cielo. As remember, please leave your comments below. If you're watching this on the replay, please make sure you are subscribed. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Also, leave a comment. I read all comments. All right. With the banner, we do take donations over here as well. So if you would like to donate, the Cash App is below. So we take donations. That would motivate content creators to keep on creating content. I'd love to see you making more donations, right? And I got a lot of people that do support me behind the scenes. So I want to tell them thank you as well. Thank you for all of your support. And we're going to keep on doing this as long as we can. And this is not the end. This is only the beginning. So we're pushing. We're going to keep pushing. Thank you, everybody, for your support. Now, we're going to review something from BSNBC. Y'all might know it as MSNBC, but I like to call it BSNBC because it seems like they're one-sided. They deal with mostly Democratic issues, where such as news channels like Fox News, they deal with more Republican news issues. So if you want to get the other side's opinion, you go to Fox News. If you want to get one side, the Democratic side, you go to MSNBC or BSNBC, however you want to call it. But today we're going to listen to some things that they're saying because they have some very, very, very great opinions on what can happen because of this man being found guilty. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Gracias like Aquino. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Please make sure you go and hit that notification bell too. Thank you for everybody that has subscribed thus far. And we're going to get right into it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. We're going to pull up this video right now. And boom, let's go.
Welcome back, everyone, to a special 3-hour edition of The Weekend. Yes, we've already been on for an hour already, if you're just joining us. 12 New Yorkers have affirmed the principle that no one in America, not even a former president, is above the law. In a historic ruling, a jury unanimously found Donald Trump guilty on 30 counts of falsifying business records. Now, the criminal case hinged on the testimony and the evidence of the trial's narrator, Trump's fixer turned foe, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen joins us here now. He's the author of Disloyal, the true story of the former personal attorney to President Donald J. Trump, and Revenge, how Donald Trump weaponized the U.S. Department of Justice against his critics. He's also the host of the Mea Culpa and Political Beatdown podcasts. Thank you, Michael Cohen, for joining us.
I seem so busy, don't I? I'm actually really not.
Just a busy guy. So I wanted to set a little context here because when this all began for you in many respects, at that time, Trump is in the White House. You had got caught up in this thing, were on your way to prison. How now, having this come full circle and watching what occurred this week, do you appreciate that role, that narration? Because I thought that was very interesting and important for you to frame this chapter in this context, because you knew how everybody else was going to come at it. But for you, it was like, it's time to tell my story and to tell this the way it occurred, the things that happened, what I saw, what I heard, and what I did for Donald Trump.
So I've been trying to tell the same story for 6 years. I couldn't get the story out against the Trump mega microphone machine with all of the crazy GOP members of Congress and the sycophants. So I wrote a New York Times best-selling book. It still didn't work. I wrote a second New York Times best-selling book. It still didn't work. Now, at least I had the platform at a trial, the first in U.S. history of a former president to be held accountable for the things that I've been talking about for 6 years. Remember, the DA's case didn't start when I was released from Otisville. It started while I was in Otisville. 3 times. 3 times the Manhattan DA's team came to visit me there.
So that's where it began.
That's where it really all began.
Now let's stop it right there real quick. So we're going to talk about Michael Cohen and his participation in all of this, right? Because Michael Cohen, if you don't know, Michael Cohen used to be the attorney for Donald Trump. All right. Michael Cohen used to be the attorney for Donald Trump. Now he lied under oath and they found out he was lying and he ended up having to go do some time. So because of that, he had to go do time in Otisville up there in New York. But while he was there, now he's saying he got released early due to COVID. And he made sure to specify that. But I believe for his cooperation in this trial, or basically turning state's evidence, if you want to put it that way, by cooperating with this investigation on Donald Trump, he basically probably got some time shaved off his sentence, because as the way he just admitted, they came to visit him while he was in jail. Why do they come to visit you in jail if you don't have anything to talk to them about? Or also, why are you someone who had to go to jail for someone else, allowing yourself to sit there and talk to the other side without getting something in return? Look at it from that angle too. Right? You're already doing time. How can this benefit you by sitting there running your mouth to them about this man? Okay? Unless you're trying to help yourself, which in my opinion, that's what it looks like happened here. It looks like he didn't want to serve a whole lot of time, because I think perjury comes with a 5-year minimum sentence. Okay? And he didn't do 5 years. And he just said they came in there and they talked to him. Sometimes people can run their mouth too much. Let's just be honest. And I mean, I don't got to tell you that he snitched on Trump, but he's, as we watch the video, you can tell, because he's a New Yorker. They're braggadocious. They tend to run their mouth a lot, right? So if you got any kind of street sense, you can sit there and listen to what he's talking about, and you can understand how he got out early. But if you want to believe the COVID story, you can believe that too. People did get released from prison early due to COVID. You use your best opinion on that. If you think what you think, leave it in the comment section. Let me know what you think about it. All right. But he went to jail because he lied under oath for Trump. Trump cut him off. Then they came and visited him, and he started cooperating with them to help them basically convict Trump of all 34 felonies. Now, they're felonies. They're not the serious felonies that's going to make you want to go to jail for 40 years or whatever, right? They're white collar crimes. But the felony that he committed, Donald Trump, that is, the felony that he committed was bad, because he did it to win the election, because Stormy Daniels was going to run her mouth, and that would have impeded him being able to win this election for president. If he didn't pay her off and shut her up, basically, if he didn't pay her off and shut her up, she would have torpedoed his chances of winning the election. Just like now that they've taken him to trial on this, right? They've taken him to trial on this. And now they're using it against him before the election comes in November to try to torpedo his chances of winning the election, even though they're going to nominate him as the GOP Republican nominee. He's still going to be that guy, and he's still going to be able to run for president. The conundrum now is, do people want a convicted felon as their president? What kind of precedence is this going to make? How's this going to look, right? Because as you're going to hear, they're going to say, once he's nominated as the Republican nominee, he gets to become debriefed. How will the American people feel about a convicted felon knowing all of the nation's secrets? That's where it's going to get a little tricky, because never before have they allowed such a thing. So why would they allow it now? But as of Trump being convicted, as of the next day, Trump raised almost $40 million in donations for his campaign. So it doesn't look like it's going to slow it down anytime soon. But let's get back to this video. I'm not going to ramble. We're going to get into it.
That's where this saga began.
Mm-hmm.
You know, prior to the start of the trial, you were very careful, I think, not to discuss anything that the Manhattan DA's office had discussed with you. You wanted to protect the integrity of the trial. Now that the verdict has come down and that piece of the trial is over, we move on to sentencing. I'm wondering what the initial conversation you had with the Manhattan DA's office when you found out that they were actually going to bring this case forward. What was that conversation?
Remember, there were two separate DAs that were involved in this case. First, it was Cy Vance. So again, when I was in Otisville, it was Cy Vance's team. And then I had met with Mark Pomerantz when I was ultimately released from Otisville as a result of COVID. Then that case sort of went away. And we all remember that whole story with Mark Pomerantz. And then Alvin Bragg became the district attorney, and he took up the mantle. But he was looking at a different set of charges than what Cy Vance was looking at. And a lot of people, myself included, were very disappointed because they believed that there was more than enough in the other set of charges to come against Trump and hold him accountable for those crimes. Well, I guess we were all wrong, and I'm the first one to be able to admit that I was wrong. Alvin Bragg certainly brought the right case. 12 jurors unanimously decided on 34 counts guilt.
Todd Blanche was on the Today Show on Friday talking about the prospects of an appeal. Take a listen, and then we'll talk about it.
You're confident on appeal.
Yes.
What's your number one issue? Don't give me a legal brief because you haven't written yet.
I think the recusal issue is meaningful. I think the statute of limitations, the way the background of why this case was brought is meaningful. I think that the witnesses, I do not think Michael Cohen should ever be somebody who can be relied upon to convict somebody.
You're part of the case. Now you get to be part of the appeal.
Now let's stop it right there. All right. Now, this guy that just finished talking is one of Trump's attorneys. And because, well, first off, like I mentioned before, they caught Michael Cohen stealing money. Basically, they put him on blast during the trial, right? So during the trial, they put him on blast about it, and he admitted to it. So he looks bad. It looks like he's a thief. But they also had 19 other witnesses come up here and testify, including some of the people that are in the Trump camp. So trying to discredit Michael Cohen did not win their case for the defense. I think it hurt them because they laser focused in on Michael Cohen after they tried to make Stormy Daniels look bad. But Stormy Daniels didn't give a single damn, if that makes sense. And she got up there and fought brilliant. And they kind of backed down off of that strategy because, for one, she's a woman. and attacking that woman like that in the courtroom like that in such a public trial, it would have made them look very bad, right? With the Me Too movements and all this, they would have crucified Donald Trump and the lawyers and everybody else, even though I'm sure Trump don't care. But the attorney has to live after this, and he probably wouldn't get no more business, right? Because of trying to attack her. So they focused on Michael Cohen and him stealing the money. Okay. So their goal is to discredit Michael Cohen, to make him look bad. But let me know your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think about that. Leave them in the comments below. Do you think that was a good strategy? Do you think that's why they failed? Let me know. All right. But this guy also is going to be one of the people who appeal for Trump, if that makes sense. So the Trump appeal is going to take place because he appeals everything, just like the debacle down in Georgia with Fannie Willis. They appealed, right? The real estate case he lost earlier this year, let's say a couple months ago, with the DA all on his back, the one that ran basically on his name. I did a video on that. Go check out that video. He had to pay $500 million in that, plus $100 million bond. So they're hitting him where it hurts. And even though he raised $40 million for the election, you still got to have some money to be president, to fund your campaign. $40 million minus $600 million. I mean, you do the math. That hurts, right? Make sure you're following me on Instagram, right? Gracias like Aquino otra vez. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, okay? We're dropping videos over there all the time. So we drop shorts over there, YouTube shorts. We drop YouTube shorts here. We drop the same videos there and on TikTok. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following me on all social media. That way you can stay up to date on what's going on. All right. Gracias like Aquino. Let's get back to the video.
Oh, thank you very much, Todd. I have a name for Todd.
I do know.
Blanche. It's called Sloat, stupidest lawyer of all time. Let me be very clear, Todd. All right, because I'm sure he's watching like everybody else. Great ratings, by the way.
Right?
Thank you.
He's the stupidest lawyer of all time. Why? Because you don't make the defense of a case like this. Let's discredit one of the witnesses. Let's discredit the narrator of the story. There are 19 other people that were called by the Manhattan District Attorney, the prosecutors, by Susan Offinger, by Josh Steinglass, obviously Alvin Bragg leading the charge. 19 people testified, which all corroborated, again, the narrative of my story. What I had been saying, again, for 6 years, corroborated by 19 independent people, some of whom, by the way, work for Trump and still remain loyal to him.
Is it your instinct, though, that they had trouble formulating an alternative defense, or is it your instinct that Donald Trump was calling the shots and said, just go after Cohen?
Combination of both.
Yeah, both.
Guaranteed, it's all predicated around Donald Trump calling the shots. I've seen him do it going back to 2007 when I started working for him. He calls the shots. It's the wrong thing to do. You don't allow your client to dictate to you the terms of your defense, especially when you're talking about something as important as this case. What you do is you turn around and you let them create the defense. You could participate in it as a client, but you don't dictate the terms of the defense. It is, again, stupid, which is why I call him the sloth.
Now, what he's saying basically is that the defense didn't even have a chance to formulate a case because Trump basically told them what to do. Trump told them how to run the case. He told them what to do and what to focus on and who to focus on. This is why they singled out Michael Cohen. Sometimes we can let our hatred for a person lead us down a path of self-destruction. And no one should ever make you feel like you want to just, no one should ever make you feel so hateful that you want to just destroy them. If you ever get to the point to where you do get like it, you need therapy, you need some help. Okay. A lot of people claim that, they're above and beyond, but we can still see devilish little ways that they do. And it shows in the things that they do on the back end. Like, they don't have to do it on camera. They don't have to do it in front of you, but actions speak louder than words, right? And that's pretty much what happened with Trump. That's why a lot of the times, if you focus on the trial and you watch some of these clips, you can see him red in the face because he hated being in there. It was embarrassing. The only thing it was good for was publicity for his campaign. But he felt like, he should never be there, because when a person makes it to a certain stature in life, and we all know people like this, right? It's just not Trump. It can be your neighbor. It can be somebody you went to school with, be somebody you was cool with once upon a time. Once they make a certain amount of money, or once they hit a certain stature, once they make a certain level at a job, manager, assistant director, et cetera, you notice the change in people, because you have to change, and that's cool, but you never lose sight and focus of who you are. And people like Trump, they let hatred control their lives, and you should never let hatred control your life. When you make it to the stature of like a Trump, right, and you're a billionaire, you lose focus of reality. You start to think nothing applies to you, and you can do whatever you want. And Michael Cohen's going to talk about several things Trump did that it's going to make you think differently about Trump, even though, we've all done some shady stuff here and there, right? It's cool. But some of the stuff Trump has done is just blatant, and it's disrespectful to the law. And sometimes you gotta, when you're in their profession, when you're trying to do what they're trying to do, you gotta fly right, or you end up in a situation like this. Let's get back to the video.
They want to make this about you, but I mean, there's a paper trail. There are documents here that corroborated and that held up everything that you said. And it wasn't just you. There was David Pecker, and there was Hope Hicks.
And Keith Davidson. And there was Jeff McConney, and there was Deborah Tarasov.
I mean, Alan Weisselberg wrote the crime down on a piece of paper. What is your sense of, why didn't they come for David Pecker in the way that they came for you, and the way that they came for Stormy Daniels? And why were they not more critical of Hope Hicks?
Yeah, well, Hope Hicks is sort of the poster child for, she's young, she's attractive, she's intelligent, and she's very soft-spoken. So she is like, we'll call it a prosecutor's dream poster child, despite the fact she was involved in so many aspects of what was going on there. Me, New Yorker, brazen, brash, easy to attack me. Why the Southern District of New York did what they did, why they gave David Pecker and Alan Weisselberg immunity in order to testify against me, to this day, nobody can give me that answer. It doesn't make any sense.
How then do you should we be processing? Alicia raised the part about the appeals and the next level up of this and the level of involvement you're going to have there. you have these other narratives, though, Michael, that are out there around you, around others, in terms of, Donald Trump is the victim here. But the one thing your narrative makes very clear, and I think is going to be important on the appeal, is Donald Trump was the architect of a lot of this. He's a micromanager of micromanagers. So he's not one of these guys, one of these CEOs who sits back and then every quarter gets a debriefing on what happened in the last 3 months. He's involved day in and day out. Do you think that narrative reinforces the argument as it gets in front of an appeals court? In other words, this is less about Michael Cohen, despite what Trump's lawyers are saying, and it really is, as the 12 jurors decided, all about Trump.
Yeah. So remember that, and Donald has put this in many of his books. If you come at him, he's going to come at you 10 times harder.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to be the only one who has stood up. Truth, and I shouldn't say the only one. Stormy Daniels certainly has.
Right,
E. Jean
right.
Carroll has. I'm talking about in this specific narrative. I'm certainly front and center onto it. And so his feeling is, not only do I need to knock Michael down, but I need to also set an example for others that you don't want to be Michael Cohen. You don't want to be taking the blows that I and the members of Congress that are supporting me are going to be coming at you.
So what's the difference?
This is a mafia message.
But what's the difference between you and Weisselberg? Weisselberg is like, don't know, not saying.
Well, Weisselberg is still in the camp. He's still in the cult, and he will not testify against Donald Trump. He has the right under law not to testify. Could take the fifth, and that's what he did. And as a direct result, he's now spending some more time at Rikers Island.
He's in Rikers. Like
we're going to stop it right there. So, okay, now this is what's going to hurt Trump on the appeal, because quite frankly, they just said he's a micromanager. Nobody likes a micromanager. I don't micromanage my people, right? So I understand the verbiage, but he's involved in every single little detail. So that's what pretty much got him convicted too. It's not like he didn't know. He couldn't just plead ignorance, because he's involved in every single thing. He wants to know. He wants to be involved. That's a good, responsible manager. That's a good, responsible person. At the same time, you have no plausible deniability. And basically what he was trying to run with in court was plausible deniability to an extent. I didn't know that this was going on in my own company, basically. And coming from someone that knows him the best, which was his personal attorney, his fixer, Michael Cohen, even though, yes, Michael Cohen stole some money, okay, he still knows the man. Front to back, up and down. He knows the man. So when it came down for him and his cooperation to be put on display, he displayed it, and he displayed his knowledge of everything too. So by displaying that and his knowledge of everything, he let it be known what was going on with Trump, while the defense was trying to paint a picture like Trump was being robbed blind by Michael Cohen and maybe some others. That just wasn't true, because everyone knows, if you read his books, Trump speaks on how to run a business. So this is one reason why you really shouldn't write a book, because your secret's out there. Sometimes it can be used against you in a court of law. And like I've always told you, right? I don't know if you're new to the podcast or you've been watching since the beginning, but like I've always mentioned, never put yourself in a position where you got to do some explaining. I don't like saying the word never. Don't ever put yourself in a position where you got to do some explaining, because we got a baseline that we can use against you. You said you do this. Now, okay, you say you do this, but now that this situation has came about, now you telling us you didn't do this in this situation, but you do it in every other situation, Mr. Trump? Well, now we have a dilemma. Now you look like you're a liar. So, yeah. Now, make sure you follow me on Facebook. Please follow me on all social media so you can stay updated. Right now, we're live on Twitter, we're live on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and follow on the pages so you can stay up to date on what's going on. Hit the notification bell. Stay abreast so you can know when we are live and when we are dropping content. Here we go. Make sure you follow us on X. We're live on X right now. Make sure you're over there watching me. You know, we got some people watching right now all across all of the platforms, and we're live on all three. Thank you for tuning in. And always, if you're watching this on a replay, thank you for watching this on the replay. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button. And donate. Please donate to the channel. As I mentioned earlier, this is what make content creators keep on making good content. So you can see all of the sites below right now on the banner below. You can also see the email. If you come across content that you think will be good to be reviewed on this channel, let me know. Send me an email. I'll do a review. Somebody that you think would be good to be interviewed, let me know. I'll check out their content. Like I mentioned last week, we like to keep it a little professional. We have a sense of humor here. You know what I mean? We try to, you know, crack a joke here and there, but we try not to color outside the lines, if that makes sense, because we're trying to monetize this channel and we're not trying to get kicked off YouTube. So we're trying to stay within the guidelines, if that makes sense. But if you see something you think would be good, a good topic to discuss over here, send me an email. All right. Now, let's get back to the video.
I'm struck by that. And I mean, y'all ain't been to Rikers, but I'm struck by the fact that when you went to prison, you went to jail for, as I've heard Nicole Wallace say many times, you did not have the sexual encounter with the young lady. It wasn't even you. But you were at this point, the one person that was held accountable for everything that went on. And that was a inflection point for you.
Just my personal opinion. I think she's a little extra, you know. Why is it always the person of color that got to be a little extra on TV, man? Like, Jesus Christ, you're embarrassing us.
Why do you not think that's been an inflection point for someone like Alan Weisselberg?
There's no way to explain why he refuses to provide the testimony that we all know that he has. I mean, as you stated earlier, it's in his handwriting. It has his initials next to it. You know, it's got one of the checks, actually two of the checks have his name written on the bottom of it. So why he refuses to do it? Nobody, he's under an agreement. He gets a severance of like $2 million if he doesn't testify. I mean, talk about obstruction of justice. Look,
and that was something that wasn't able to come up in court, by the way.
Right.
That was something that they were not
permitted to do that. Right. Talk about the severance. So we'll
court.
just talk about it here on the weekend. Another thing that we should talk about that nobody else seems to be talking about is yesterday's wackadoodle press conference.
Oh, we're going to get to that. You know what, Michael, can we take a break? And then we're going to talk about that press conference on the other side of the break.
If you insist, it is your show.
Well, you know, we appreciate that. We're going to continue the conversation. Yes, I need a sip. So right after, you're watching The Weekend, folks. Stay with us. Back with Michael Cohen. Before we went to break, you were talking about the press conference. And let's just be clear, it was not a press conference. It was a statement that was with the press as the audience because of the press conference, you take questions that Donald Trump did on Friday.
Yeah, filled with a whole bunch of people that work in the building and so on. But as I was watching it, I just decided I had to put out something onto my Twitter account. I wrote, Trump's press conference was nothing shy of a bat-S crazy avalanche of broken brain word manure. Because that's really what it was. It was a rambling series of nonsense. But here's something that's interesting that no one's talking about. We're going to break it right here on the weekend. He's not even allowed to do that press conference in Trump Tower.
Why not? Because
he doesn't own the public space. If you look outside the door, it says open to the public. He gave away that space.
This is where Michael Cohen's going to get to talking about lost my place. This is what Cohen is going to get to talking about Trump doing all the brazen things, the stuff he ain't supposed to do.
Work. Now, at least I had the platform.
And there was Hope Hicks.
And Keith Davidson. And there was Jeff McConney. And there was Deborah Tarasoff.
I mean, Alan Weisselberg wrote the crime down on a piece of paper. What is your sense?
To this day, nobody can give me that answer.
Who sits back and then every quarter gets a thing you're never. Don't know nothing, not saying nothing.
That he has. I mean, as you stated earlier, it's in his handwriting. It has his initials. Of justice. Look,
and that was something that wasn't able to come up in court, by the way.
Right.
That was the press conference, and let's just be clear, it was not a press conference. It was a statement that was with the press as the audience because of the press conference, you take questions that Donald Trump did on Friday.
Yeah, filled with a whole bunch of people that work in the building and so on. But as I was watching it, I just decided I had to put out something onto my Twitter account. I wrote, Trump's press conference was nothing shy of a bat-S crazy avalanche of broken brain word manure. Because that's really what it was. It was a 40 plus years ago in order to build the residential portion. The door. It says open to the public. He gave away that space years ago, 40 plus years ago, in order to build the residential portion. That's how he obtained the FAR, the air rights, in order to go as high as he did for that property. He does not own it. Therefore, you need a permit. He was warned of this in 2016 during the campaign. But does Donald Trump care about the law? No. Yeah. The same way he put out the clock on Fifth Avenue without permits. I mean, he just does things. The law doesn't apply to him the way it applies to the rest of us.
I think that's an important point, and it is a part of the psychology of Trump that I've always been fascinated by. And in my encounters with him earlier on in 13 or whatever, and then just watching him subsequently, it is very clear he's a man who believes I will do it unless you stop me. And he doesn't believe you can stop him. And there is some truth to that, Michael. I mean, you look at how our systems, our judicial system, our political systems, our media have just capitulated to his brand, his level of pugnacious, offensive behavior, treating it as entertainment, treating it as politically prescient in terms of how Republicans look at it. What is it about him that allows him to your point, do the thing he's not allowed by law or by principle to do, and yet everything around him just kind of goes, okay.
Except I will note, we're having this conversation in the context of the fact that he has been convicted of 34 felony counts.
I got that. But we are,
and $500 million in the New York Attorney General case, and another $100 million.
But folks, we are 8 years. We are 8 years into this, so we're at the now we're at that point. But look at all the terrain that has been disrupted and burned to the ground before we got to that point. And that's what I'm talking. This accountability now is important, but along the way it wasn't there. So my question is, what was it about him that made people feel, I mean, the lawyers that didn't get paid, the people, and yet they come back, the banks who, you know, had defaults, and yet they would give him a loan the next time. What is it?
Yeah, it's unexplainable. I mean, I truly don't understand it either. Now, is Donald Trump entertaining? Absolutely. I mean, first of all, the Oompa Loompa-ish sort of look that goes on. I mean, how many people have made fun of the orange tan or the cotton candy hair and so on for years? He actually embraces the attacks. He believes anything negative said about him is a positive. I mean, that's a narcissistic sociopath by design. What he does is he makes everything about him. And for whatever the reason, people they just go along. He brings out the worst in people
And they seem to like it.
they not only do they like it, they embrace it and they run with it.
And I
These
want to
people
know.
do not like. He about to go to jail, maybe. Okay.
Well, let's talk about that, because two questions for you. One, which is, having gone through this pre-sentencing hearing, I want to hear from you sort of what that experience is like and how you think he's going to do it. I've also heard you say you don't think he should go to prison. I want to understand more about why.
Okay, so the first part, yes, I did go through that process, the pre-sentencing report. So thanks for bringing up a bad memory. It's a horrible process. You sit down with an individual and you basically have to open up your entire life to them, whether it's financial, whether it's medical. You know, they need to know everything. And it is based upon that document that gets submitted to the judge for review, and the judge uses that in determining the sentence. Now here we see, once again, to Mike's point, Donald is bombastic. They want to call me the bombastic one. They thought I was going to come onto the stand with a baseball bat or a 9-iron and start swinging it. Donald Trump is the only one every single day who went out there and attacked everybody, right? And again, he had a whole slew of members of Congress sitting behind him doing the same thing. That's going to determine the sentence, including the violations of the gag order, which I believe he did again yesterday. I still think the gag order is in place, and his behavior, his 10-minute rambling about me, he's violating the gag order. Do I think that he's going to be convicted? Absolutely, 100%. Do I think that Judge Merchan is going to sentence him to prison or to jail? The answer is no.
Right, but do you think?
Let me stop it right there. I agree with Michael Cohen. And I've been saying this for the longest to whoever will listen. Donald Trump ain't going to jail. It's more of a smokescreen, if you ask me, because we got a lot more pressing issues going on in this country. Like what's going on with the US dollar dominance in the world. We're going to do a live stream on that. Stay tuned, because I think that's something everyone should know about. Because if you understand how the United States right now is controlling the networks and the airwaves, then you will understand that we only can see what they want us to see, and everything they want us to see is about Donald Trump. He's not going to jail. Yeah, they convicted him. Whoop-de-doo. But as far as a former president getting sent to prison, not happening. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't appeal and they throw the case out. That's how I think it's going to go. Let me know what you think, though. Let me know what you think. Let me know your opinions on this. Tell me what you think is going to happen. Do you think he's going to prison? If you do, put it in the comments below. Do you think he's going to walk away scot-free? Put it in the comments below. Let me know what you think about this, all right? I don't think he's going to jail. Like I said, we have more pressing issues going on in the world right now other than Donald Trump. Why do I say that? Well, take a look at this. Give me a second. I'm about to share my screen. As soon as, yeah, here we go. See, this is what you don't see. And I hope everybody pays attention to this. This is the U.S. debt clock. All right. This is the U.S. debt clock, people. This is what's important. We are in 34,786,376,000,000 and climbing dollars worth of debt. The U.S. That's the U.S. You can see all of the debt that we're in and where it's coming from right now. All right. This is what they're not talking about. This is what they're trying to, keep under wraps from everyone. Even here, you can see Medicaid and Medicare. You can see Social Security. You can see how much money is being spent on the defense, on the war, the interest on the debt right here, right? You can see everything. All right. You can see it all. How much is coming from the U.S. population? Everything is here. Just go to usdebtclock.org. This is not an official government website, but you can see it. And we're gonna do a video on this. We're gonna talk about this. And if you think this ain't a real thing, you're crazy. You see how much money we owe China down here at the bottom? The oil, U.S. debt by foreign countries. You can see it all. It's all here. They can't hide that. But keep thinking everything's about Trump. Everything's not about Trump. Everything ain't about Trump. My guy is in the building. Yes, sir. Let me show you again. Let me show you again. Let me show you again, right? Thank you, Quiet Storm, for tuning in. Let me show y'all again. This is horrible. Right? So the question you should be asking is not if Donald Trump is going to jail, is what we gonna do about the money? What we gonna do about the money? What we gonna do about the money, people? Because we are down. Do you understand? We are down. And people are more focused on is Donald Trump going to jail. He ain't going to jail. But we can lose, we can go broke. We can turn into a third world country. Everyone talks bad about these other countries, but look at us. Look at how we're doing. We're not doing too good. We are not doing too good. Thanks for tuning in, Quiet Storm. I appreciate you, buddy. And if you guys don't know, Quiet Storm is part of Machismo TV. Make sure you go check out Machismo TV. Tell them the Professional Nomad sent you. Check out this clip.
Welcome to Machismo TV, the ultimate destination for modern men seeking to upgrade their lifestyle. Subscribe to Machismo TV and Saul T-Balls. We stream daily from 12 midnight to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the best male-centric content. Highlight reels without reviewing or providing any editorial bias to the content. We have done so much, with so little for so long, we are now qualified to do anything, with nothing.
Me and Saul got a collab coming up, man. Shout out to Salty Balls. We got a collaboration coming up here soon. We're going to be talking about Marian. I can't even pronounce it now. My old lady got me Marianismo. All right. Marianismo basically is the definition of how a woman should act, where machismo is basically the description of the behavior of men. Marianismo is the definition of the behavior of the woman. So we're going to be talking about that on Saul's channel here soon. Shout out to Saul. Shout out to Machismo TV. Shout out to my guy, the international Quiet Storm. It's my guy right there. Thank you for coming through here, buddy. Really, really appreciate it. Let me finish this video and we're going to end the stream. Yeah, y'all stop worrying about if Donald Trump going to jail. Worry about if we're going to turn into a third world country. That's what you should be worried about.
You've also said that you don't think he should be sentenced to jail. And
I'm afraid of him going to jail.
Why?
And not for him, not for his safety. That's on him. He's got Secret Service protection. I'm more concerned for you and for all of us and our families and for the American people, because this clown had 4 years of being debriefed on national security issues. On top of that, if he becomes the Republican nominee, he gets debriefed again starting now. Think about this. America, think about this for a second. You have now a Republican leading candidate who is a felon, who's going to be debriefed on national security issues, knowing how loose-lipped he is, how he's willing to give away America's secrets to Vladimir Putin or to anybody for money, or just simply for bragging rights. He did it with the Australian billionaire at Mar-a-Lago. He sat there in Helsinki with Vladimir Putin talking about national security issues, but nobody else was around except for Vladimir Putin's translator. I mean, these are not normal things. You don't allow somebody like Donald Trump to be declassified, especially now as a felon. So my concern is, in a prison situation, he's willing to give away these secrets, as I always say, for a bag of tuna or a book of stamps. And he will do it because he doesn't care. If America turns against him, he'd rather.
Oh, let me stop it right there. So this is a point that I've said earlier. All right. This is a point that I said earlier. Now, once he becomes the Republican candidate, he gets debriefed. They read him in on everything. I don't have a problem with convicted felons. Most of the people I know are convicted felons. You know what I mean? I just don't know if I want my president to be one that collaborates with Russia and thinks it's cool to share secrets with Russia when we are not allies. And the way that BRICS is forming, which if you don't know about BRICS, you need to learn about BRICS, because, I mean, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That all goes along with the U.S. debt, because the whole purpose of BRICS is to do away with the U.S. dollar. And your president, your Donald Trump, right? Your president, if that's who you want to vote for, Donald Trump is going to be collaborating with one of the countries in BRICS that wants to do away with the U.S. dollar dominance. Think about that. I want you to think about that. Is that the person that you want running the country? Because he's going to aid them in the de-dollarization of the world, basically. To be honest, I don't want Joe Biden as president either. But I don't want Trump in office if he's going to be colluding with Russia. And Russia is aiding in the downfall of my money. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to help them turn us into a third world country. Maybe I need to show y'all the debt clock again, because it's steady climbing. It ain't going down. So no, he's not going to jail. But let me know your thoughts. Put it in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your opinions are on this situation. And you know, I'll read them and I'll get back to them. But we're gonna finish this video. We've been on here about an hour.
To see America burned to the ground. And that's who Donald Trump is, plain and simple.
That part I believe. That I believe. Although I think his behind needs to go to jail. But
well, you know what, Michael Cohen, will you stay for a little longer?
For you, absolutely.
We appreciate you. Michael Cohen is going to be here, and we will be right back. You're watching The Weekend.
We're done. All right, guys. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Once again, please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Please hit the like button. If you was able to stick around to this end of the video, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you again. Once again, we're trying to open up the Nomad Worldwide WhatsApp group. Gonna have people in there that's gonna be collaborating and educating people like Quiet Storm, Machismo TV, people that's gonna teach you some things, people that can help you get to the understanding that you need to get to. I think in a couple of weeks we're gonna do a video maybe on CBDCs again. We're gonna talk about this US debt and we're gonna talk about what could happen. Maybe a couple hypotheticals, but we're gonna do what we do. Appreciate it, pimp. Appreciate it, pimp. Really do. It means a lot. Thank you for coming through here, man. Thank you. All right, guys. Please make sure that you tuned in next week. We'll be back. We got to do some editing to this video. But as always, Stefano's out, and I appreciate you. Bye-bye.